NAVA acknowledges the Gadigal and Wangal peoples of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which this was filmed, and pay respects to First Nations communities, ancestors and elders.
My name's Jane Reynolds and I'm Guringai and Yuin. I love doing cultural reclamation and holding spaces for our community voices in museums, in colonial spaces, to bring voices of country back together.
What has been a turning point in your career?
For me, one of the most profound moments was I'd been supporting the senior possum cloak teachers in Victoria with the cultural reclamation of possum skin cloaks. Because of the disconnection in my family to our cultural stories, I never felt that I had the capacity to actually make cloaks in that cultural tradition. I had this hesitancy that I still needed to learn more and do more and heal more of those connections. But there was a point when I started having a dream, and it went for several years, that we needed to make a gift cloak to give to the Māori people because our possum was taken to New Zealand against its will and it became a pest there. And it's like the cane toad is here, it's destroying everything, and yet we were purchasing the pelts and bringing them back to sustain this cultural reclamation of our tradition. And in that dream, the possum kept coming in and calling me, and I thought we have to take responsibility and give this gift to say and honour the possum who clothed and fed our ancestors for thousands of generations and whose life, death and rebirth cycle allows us the honour of being able to put our story, our connection to country, our designs on its pelt. I spoke to some of my Maori friends and we negotiated and contacted for advice, and they suggested to give that gift to Papa because they have the marae there. And so we reached out and offered the gift to say, we know the possum's a pest, we know it doesn't belong in your country and we're calling it back home. In doing that, I had the confidence to write a blessing in language. Again, I'd been as a curator holding space for thousands of other people to do that, and yet there was a hesitancy for me to do that myself. And so that was very important, and Vicky and Lee and Auntie Frances and Marie, they made me put marks on the skin. That was a real turning point to do that, and when I came home, I sat on the deck to make my first cloak of my own for my family connection, and a wild possum, I live in the bush, a wild possum came down over and walked very slowly in this slow time over the pelt, and I thought, oh no, it's going to scratch me for for having this possum pelt here, but it was an ancestor possum, and time slowed down and I spoke my language blessing, and it came towards me and it climbed on me like I was the tree and gave me a hug, and it gave me its heartbeat. That sound of our heartbeat is one of our sacred teachings, the gift that our mother gives us, our birth mother. And when our women come together with our possum cloaks, we drum for our family. We drum to acknowledge our mother and our grandmothers and our connection back to Mother Earth. And we drum for our country. So that blessing, the possum said, you've done a good job now. You can make these cloaks. That gave me a happiness that they knew we'd stood up for the voice of the possum.
What is the most pressing issue for you as an artist right now?
Right now, today, we're filming on the eclipse. So I bought this special drum that's got the Dance of the Ancestral Grandparents story on it. And really that is a sign of the most pressing issue is about country and the health of country, and how through our art we can be a voice for country, because our country is suffering from our imbalance of our relationship and the way it's seeing the pressure of development, the pressures of our modern society.
What is something you wish you knew when you were starting out as an artist?
The thing for me that I wish I knew was more of my cultural knowledge and traditions when I was younger, because it's taken a long time, that fracturing. I've really felt that, and felt that I may never be able to heal that in times in my life. But I'm also grateful to have had the opportunities that I've had to do that very slowly and respectfully and patiently. And I think the importance of mentoring and valuing the people who will guide you and teach you and allow you to make mistakes.
How has NAVA's code of practice been useful to your work as an artist?
It's so important for the industry as a whole to have people doing the research, lobbying with all the levels of government, lobbying with business, in there advocating for rights, for professionalism, for information about how creative arts contribute to the healing and social diversity and healthy communities, to have the voice to Parliament and lawmakers and protections and services and professional development. I really value the work that arts administrators do and that arts advocates do, and I want you to know that I think you're really special.
What brings you joy in your work?
The joy comes from the doing, because when you're making art, whether you're singing or dancing or drumming or painting or whatever your practice is, you're opening that channel between the mind, body and spirit. But the greatest joy I get is actually doing the community workshops, when I see families come or elders who haven't had a chance to sit down and work together on a cloak, or little kids, you know, who in the community who make something and then proudly wear it to dance and can feel that pride and that connection. So the joyfulness of seeing our cultural practices renewed, because that's our writing and our promise and our connection and our spirit of who we are.